Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh Shemal, Shalom, Shalom, Wakar, Kwadash, and Shalom to the 144,000 and the which are the elite of the elect and the rest of the elect of Israel. Anyway, coming at you with another video. And I may break this down into parts, but the Spirit may have me go through the whole breakdown. Let's see where the Spirit leads me. Oh, update on the parasite cleanse. It's the second day two, the official day. I started on unofficially. I started on a Sunday, but I officially started it like the meats and dairy and eggs and all that stuff. I didn't eat on a Sunday, but the official start date was on a Monday. So you can say this is my third day in, but officially this is my second day in. So today is Tuesday, and I got out about 6:30ish and did a 2.5 mile walk, which took me about, depending on my pace, anywhere about 50 minutes. Sometimes if I'm walking fast, it'll be 45 minutes or so. Sometimes I'll do a 3 mile. That'll be closer to an hour, 55 minutes or so, depending on my pace. So after that, I did a couple of videos, and I drank the teas, the 2 teas or detox teas, and that was between 9 and 10 o'clock, 10:15. I did a few things. I came back. This is right now. It's almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon, but I would say maybe an hour and a half ago, maybe, I kept going to the bathroom. This stuff makes you go to the bathroom because I'm regular. If I eat 2 meals, I'll go to the bathroom 2 times, sometimes 3 times in a day. I'm very regular, but I went to the bathroom. I only had 1 meal, which was basically a green smoothie, maybe some cashews, not too much, not any real solid food. And like I said, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, I started going to the bathroom, number 2. So I went to the bathroom, I think 4 times, and a lot came out. So it, like I said, I'm regular, but I was regular to the 10th power today. So that didn't happen the first day, which was Monday. So the second day it happened. So let's see what happens on the third day. So now on the third day, which is going to be Wednesday, I'll prepare it tonight before the sun go down, because the Sabbath comes in at night. So I'll have it that morning, and then that Wednesday night I'll prepare it and have it for Thursday. And then on what I could do is prepare it on a Thursday before the sun go down and deal with the Day of Atonement and not touch it, because normally I'll drink it, the detox in the mornings. I'll prepare it that night before and I'll drink it in the morning. So I prepare it before the sun go down Thursday night, and then drink it that Friday night after the sun goes down. Because you can't drink anything, of course, on the Day of Atonement, but you can drink it on the regular Sabbath. So I'll prepare it tonight, Tuesday night, for tomorrow. So I'll let you know what's going on, what happens tomorrow. I didn't think this was going to happen where I was going to go to the bathroom that much, but it's really coming out of my system, emptying. It's truly emptying my digestive system, colon, mainly the colon. Anyway, I'm going to title this video Jeremiah 50, and the NLT. So I was watching this video, and this was put up a month ago, put up by a Remnant Say 144. And you can see these are men of elders and teachers, you can say, of not all of them, but a handful of them. And this is Yashwamba. This is, who's this brother's name? I forget this brother. Ariala, which is also an LD, second in command. And then you have the rest of the brothers. All right. Or the teachers, which, eventually they will become elders if they're not young elders now, because you got elders and then you got teachers. So they were going through Jeremiah 50 and 51. So I was listening to some of it. And I said, you know what, let me, because I love it when you go into them breakdowns. And I picked that up from, that rubbed on off High Priest Ariel onto me, because that's all he went into. He went through it over and over and over again. And that's why I don't have to pull out no notes and think about it, because we went through it over and over again. So it's good to sometimes, it's good to go into precept, precept upon precept, of course, but sometimes you go into a whole breakdown and it'll lead you into other precepts. So I was getting into it. So I said, let me go and check it out in the NLT. So I read the first couple of verses and I said, yep, I got to do a breakdown on it, complete breakdown. Like I said, okay, it's 46 verses. I don't think we're going to do the whole thing, but then again, we may do it. Let's see what the Spirit, if the Spirit guides me. I may do a quarter of it. I may do half of it. I may do the whole thing. I may do 5 verses. Let's see where the Spirit takes me. And see, and the reason why we're going through it, through Jeremiah 50 and 51 and other, prophetic uh, scriptures, is because you have Christian scholars that'll say it's talking about ancient Babylon, or, if it mentions Egypt sometimes, anytime you see Egypt, they think about ancient Egypt. They don't understand a spiritual Egypt. So let's just go ahead and read it. It says, a message about Babylon. The Lord gave Jeremiah, the prophet, this message concerning Babylon and the land of the Babylonians. You go to any, what do you call it, Bible commentary, they're going to talk about ancient Babylon. They're going to go into ancient Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, Daniel, Jeremiah. They wrote, So that's as far as they know. They're not going to say, you may find one or two, but for the most part, they think this is a prophecy of ancient Babylon being destroyed. But as you read this chapter, you see that it's not talking about ancient Babylon, because there were some things that happened in this prophecy that didn't happen to ancient Babylon. Second verse, this is what Yahweh says, tell the whole world. Now, obviously, the prophets didn't talk to the whole world. Are we in a position to tell the whole world? Yeah, through the internet. What does it say in Matthew 24? This gospel shall be published, preached throughout the whole world, and then the end shall come. So this Babylon, obviously, he's not talking about ancient Babylon. And keep, know what I'm gonna do? Tell the whole world. Tell the whole world. Let's see what the word world is. Okay, this is obviously going back to the King James. If you want to Going to the Hebrew, it takes you back to the King James translation. Okay, it says among the nations instead of the whole world. This is what Yahweh says: tell the whole world and keep nothing back. Raise and signal flag to tell everyone that Babylon will fall. Obviously, the prophets didn't tell everyone on the planet. Her images and idols will be shattered. Her gods, Bel and Marduk, will be utterly disgraced. Now you know the super elite, the gods that they worship are the gods from the ancient world, the Canaanite, Babylonians, Assyrian gods. Where they worship Molech at the skull and not the skull and bones, the what do you call that? The grove. It says that's in California. I think it's Napa Valley, California. The Bohemian Grove. And when you look up the word Bohemian, it means somebody that does something different than the majority of other people around. Like everybody celebrates Christmas, December 25th, Easter, Christopher Columbus Day. Well, Bohemians won't celebrate those days. They'll celebrate other days. So these individuals, these insiders, these elites that get together, they don't do what the average American does. They might do it in front of them on TV. They went to church and this, that, and the other. They might say they believe in Jesus, but really they believe in these ancient gods. So it says, for a nation, third verse, for a nation will attack her from the north and bring such destruction that no one will live there again. Now that never happened. It was a surgical strike. It was an order from Darius the Mede to assassinate the king of Babylon, which I believe was Nebuchadnezzar. I believe that was a grandson of Nebuchadnezzar. So it was a surgical strike when the king of Babylon and his lords were filled with the king's food, which is they were loading up on carbs, which gives you niggeritis, and they were drinking, they were drunk. So they had their guard down. So it was a surgical strike where they roll up in there and they slit their throats, and they couldn't really, when they try to get to their weapon, if I can get to my weapon, inside joke, they couldn't because they wasn't prepared. They were drunk and they were suffering niggeritis. So what happened was there was the Medes, and then down the line the Persians that made that area, which is Babylon, they made a province of ultimately the Medo-Persian Empire, the Persians and the Medes. So were there people dwelling in Babylon? Absolutely. There was a church during the time of the apostleship where you had a church of believers, of Israelites in Babylon. That's what Peter said. For a nation will attack her from the north and bring such destruction that no one will live there again, ever again. So we know that it's not talking about ancient Babylon. And that nation of the north ultimately is talking about the former USSR. What is it? The USSR, United Socialist Soviet Republic, I believe that meant USSR. And bring such destruction, which is the missiles, that no one will live there again. So what I may do is go to the commentary. Matter of fact, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me do this. Let me go to the commentary anyway. Now, when I click on the commentary, bear with me for a minute. Anyway, you know what? Let's leave that alone for now. See if we can come back. Let's read in the King James. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. So what I want to do is go into the commentary. Okay, it came up. Okay, Cambridge, since it's the shortest. Out of the north, characteristic of Jeremiah, but meaning with him first, the Scythians. Oh, I can't believe they said that. So they are saying Russians. They are saying the Russians because the Russians were known as the Scythians. And they were the first Russians were Israelites. And then the Babylonians, whereas the Persians were here meant. Let me read that again. Out of the north, characteristic of Jeremiah, but meaning with him first the Scythians. Who are the Scythians? Let's look up the word Scythians. Scythia. The Scythians or Scyth, and sometimes also referred to as the, what is this? Pontic Scythians were an ancient Eastern Iranic equestrian nomadic people who had migrated during the 9th and 8th centuries BC. Doesn't tell you about the Russians. They pull up this map. You got to go into maps too. You can't go to description and mention the place. And then somebody said, well, where's that located? You have no idea where it's located. I got to get a better map. Okay, so this is best describe it. You got Elam over here. You got all of this, and then beyond this is the rest of Russia. So it started around here. That's why they called it the Medes in Isaiah 13. People say, oh, no, it's talking about the ancient Medes. Let me do this. Let me do this. Think I got a better map. Okay, so that's the Roman Empire. And this will be Russia today, but this was no man's land. So what they did was they ventured further out. But the original people were known as the Scythians, which was a term that was given to the Persians as well, which was Jake, because the Apostle Paul speaks about the Scythians and the barbarians receiving salvation. So obviously, it's not talking about Edomites. So these Russians were a mixture of, you had Jake up in there, you had Edomites up in there, you had, remember the Caucasus Mountains is right around here. And you had other mixed people. You got people from Russia that's on like the boxing team. They look like Moabites. So you had a lot of Moabites, and I would assume Mammonites up in there as well. So it was like a mixture. You got the Chesnians, which they look like they're kind of Arab, light-skinned Arab. The Chesnians are, they have the beards, the long beards, and they love to fight. They came out of that spirit of the barbarians and the Scythians. They were born to fight. They love it. They love it, man. See, this war that's going on with Russia and the Ukrainians, and they're taking over the Ukrainians. They're battle tested. They're always in a war. They're always fighting somebody. And if it comes down to hands, the only Edomite that'll stand up with a Jake and sometimes get the better Jake is them damn Russians, man. They know all the martial arts. Watch the UFC and the various MMA platforms, and who's taking over? You got Jake taking over, of course, and then you got you mix among them. You got them Russians, them Chechens, and them regular Russians, because they're built to fight. Scriptures speak about the men of America are foreborn to fight; they become like women. That's in Nahum. I believe it's also in Jeremiah. So when you do these breakdowns, you got to go into the history. So you read in Isaiah 13, and it speaks about the Medes. And you say, that's talking about Russian. And somebody come up with, no, but the land of the Medes is not in Russia. So you got to understand, you got to know, you got to have the map in your mind. You got to explain to them, Russia at that time was no man's land. So when it said the Medes, it's the bottom of Russia, which was expanded by these Edomites and these other nations. Like it says here, who are the Scythians in the Bible. I thought it was going to give me a precept. What was the Apostle Paul? All right, let me read that the Scythians were the first of numerous waves of warriors because they're warrior built. They as kids they learn war, all type of war, hand to hand combat, missiles, swords, bow and arrow, on horses, who swept westward over the vast Eurasian steppes, which extended from Mongolia more than 4,000 miles to the Carpathian Mountains in Europe. That's where Vlad Tepes is from, the Carpathian Mountains. And Vlad Tepes, that's Lahab in the reincarnation. Well, that he comes in the spirit of Lahab, one of the seven. But that's Vlad Tepes, which was a Jake. The story of Dracula are Jakes. The Monsters, this goes before your time. There was a comedy series called The Monsters, with Herman Monster was the father. They were Israelites. And to show you in one of the episodes that they said that they're the Byzantine. We were the Byzantine fighting against the Turks. Grandpa was showing like a film of them fighting against the Turks. And I remember that as a child. And it kind of stuck with me. So I said, well, wait a minute. The monsters from the comedy TV series are actually Jakes. That's why people were looking at him all funny. Because the scriptures say we are peculiar people, right? So that's all I need. Third verse. For a nation will attack her from the north and bring such destruction that no one will live there again. Now, this is the first time me going into the NLT. I did this breakdown before in the KJV, but you can see the difference. Everything will be gone. That didn't happen in ancient Babylon. So if you argue with a scholar about it and they say, well, let's talk about ancient Babylon, and you go into the history, they said, what happened to the king of Babylon at that time? Who put out the order to kill him? And if they know anything about the biblical history, they would say Darius the king of who? The king of the Medes. And then when you go into the history, it was a surgical strike. So how did it destroy everything? And it wasn't inhabited again. So it's not talking about the same Babylon. Everything will be gone. That's America. Both people and animals will flee. They're going to be destroyed, actually. The ones that know better, they're going to flee. The ones that don't know, they're going to stay here and take it. They're going to take the missiles. Hope for Israel and Judah. And those coming days, saith Yahweh, the people of Israel will return home together with the people of Judah. They will come weeping and seeking Yahweh, their power. So when did that happen? During the time of the Babylonian Empire, the ancient Babylon? It never happened. When did the 12 tribes come back together, the two kingdoms? In our time. So this Babylon is more proof that this is not ancient pagan Babylon. This is America. The gathering is in America. You have no business being out there in Africa. You don't need to be out there in Africa or South America. Ain't nothing panning out there. The place, your concentration is supposed to be here in America. Because salvation is coming for the elect in America. They have Africa, the Israelites out there don't have to worry about being saved because the missiles are not going to hit them. They will ask the way to Jerusalem, meaning you're going to start seeking out the scriptures and listening to the prophets, and we'll start back home again. they will bind themselves to Yahweh with an eternal covenant, ultimately the new covenant, that will never be forgotten. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have led them astray. Now, this guy, this clown, Vocab Malone says, well, there's never been a time where Israel never knew who they were. Well, this scripture proves you wrong, my man. Buddy, it says, my people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have led them astray, meaning their shepherds, their leaders, have told them lies. And what shepherds is it talking about? These pastors and these ministers among Jake. Then not one of these churches are teaching that you the Israelites, and turn them loose in the mountains. The mountains represent governments, philosophies, sin in all of its forms. They have lost their way. What does it mean they have lost their way? They don't know who they are. Tells you that in Baruch. What is that? Baruch 2 and 30. I believe I'm positive it's Luke 2 and 30. Let me just go ahead. I meant to say Baruch. Did I say Baruch? Okay, I'm in Baruch. All praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakodash. What I want is a whole chapter. Go right to it. I don't read all into it. I'm just going right to the point. For I knew that they would not hear me because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, America being number one on the list, they shall what? Remember themselves. They shall remember that they're the Israelites. Total recall. We are now experiencing total recall. Bear me for a minute. Lo, thy sons come, whom thou, this is what is this? Baruch, I'm sorry, Baruch just be 4. I knew it was 4. Baruch 4. I may want to read a couple of verses above this. I'll start at 36th verse. O Jerusalem, which means city of peace, look about thee, and Jerusalem is a people before it's a place, it's the Israelites. Both kingdoms coming together in the west. Look about thee toward the east, because that's where our homeland is. And behold, the joy that cometh unto thee from the Most High. Lo, thy sons come, whom thou sentest away. Deuteronomy 28:68. They come gathered together from the east to the west by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the glory of the Most High. 5th verse. Baruch 5 verse. Baruch, by the way, was the understudy of Jeremiah. It says, arise, Jerusalem, O Jerusalem, as the people before the place, and stand on high and look about toward the east. And behold, thy children, thy sons, gathered from the west unto the east by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the remembrance of the Most High. I will bring all things to your remembrance. Total recall. Total recall. In the first movie that came out in the 90s with Arnold Schwarzenegger, he didn't know who he was. I think his name was Quaid or something like that. But he was really somebody else. So they had to guide him into bringing him back to his remembrance, though he once knew it. The first thing he had to do, he had a turban on his head. They told him to put a turban on his head. What are they telling you? That he's an Israelite. The character that he played was supposed to be an Israelite. And he gave him a device and said, put this up in your nose. And he pulled out a big tracking device, which is a chip. So they showing you, man. And then he came back to remember who he actually was. Because the wife that he had wasn't even really his wife. That woman was set up to kill him, but he didn't know. Total recall. Watch the original if you can get your hands on it. That's how the elite talk to each other. So let's read the 6th verse again. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have led them astray. That's why Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai is going to destroy all of these false leaders, all these Kemetic teachers, all of these Christian teachers, all these Morris teachers. Anybody that's teaching you something that's contrary to the truth, they're not going to make it because they led the people astray. You got these people that come up, these vocabites, these Negroes that follow vocab. Every last one of them is going to be destroyed if they don't repent. It says, and turn them loose in the mountains. They have lost their way and can't remember how to get back to the sheepfold. Yeah, because all things were not put into their memory. They have not experienced total recall. Watch the movie, the original Total Recall. And there's a process of him coming back to his remembrance. They were playing a mind game on him like they're playing a mind game on you. So you can be Kemetic all you want, but guess what? You're going to get the chip. You can be a more all you want. Guess what? You want to buy and sell, you better get that chip. 7th verse. Let's see how far I'm going to go with this. All who found them devoured them. So we were enemies to the world. Their enemies, which are all the nations, the list is in Psalms 83. Number 1 on the list is Edom. Number 2 on the list is Ishmael. And then you got Jake's following Ishmael's God. We did nothing wrong in attacking them, for they sinned against the Yahweh. They ain't right any damn way. Their true place of rest and the hope of their ancestors. That's why Elijah had to come back to do what? The fathers turn the fathers to the children, heart to the fathers to the children, heart to the children to the fathers. So it says their true peace of rest and the hope of their what? Ancestors. So we got to get connected back to our fathers because we are fathers reincarnated. Reincarnation is biblical. If you can't see it, it's because the Most High is not with you. The 8th verse. but now flee from Babylon, which is this place, the U.S. Leave the land of Babylon. Now, what does it mean? It doesn't mean flee to another country. It means that we're gonna be lifted up when the ships come, and we get lifted up in that major ship the size of a mountain. That's what it's talking about. Come up hither. So this guy, the leader of was it the GOCC? He had these people back in '09 when they had that other flu. What do you call it? They were giving out vaccinations. They had people all going crazy, and he told his people in the congregation they got to flee out of America because this is Babylon, and they fled and they got caught out there. And you still got clowns dealing with this guy, but he ain't nothing but a stumbling block. So that's all right. It said, like male goats at the head of the flock, lead my people home again. For I am rising up an army of great nations from the north. And that army represents first and foremost the missiles. That's an actual army. They will join forces to attack Babylon. They're talking about the Russians, of course, and the other nations that defy America, which will be the NATO nations. And she will be captured. The enemy's arrows, which are the missiles, will go straight to the mark because they're guided. They will not miss. Every missile that's shot out them silos, there's not going to be one dud. There's not going to be one that goes off course. It says in Joel 2, they shall not break their ranks. They shall not fall on another. 10th verse. Let's see how many more verses we can get. Babylonia will be looted until the attackers are glutted with lot. That's poetic speaking. I, Yahweh, have spoken. Babylon's sure fall. You rejoice and are glad. You who plundered my chosen people, the Israelites, you frisk about like a calf in a meadow and neigh like a stallion, meaning they pop talking shit about what they're going to do. The little horn spoke great things. But your homeland will be overwhelmed with shame and disgrace. You will become the least of nations, a wilderness, a dry and desolate land that never happened in ancient Babylon. Because of the Lord's anger, Yahweh's anger, Babylon will become a desert wasteland. That never happened in ancient Babylon. So the scholars have to explain this to you. All who pass by will be horrified. Lamentation says hiss, it says hiss, and will gasp or hiss at the destruction they see there. Now, when the World Trade Center, the buildings went down, we went down there two weeks after, and people were all down there. That was like a gathering place. They were praying for the dead soul. What the hell are you praying for the dead souls? They're already in the spiritual realm. You ain't going to change their lot in the spiritual realm. 14th verse. Yes, prepared to attack Babylon. And that's the preparation right now. The BRICS nations coming together. There's an article of, there's 40 nations that want to join the BRICS nations. Let me see if I got that up. There we go. BRICS could become a global force as at least 40 countries want to join the bloc, the BRICS nations. That's to counter NATO and the EU, America and Canada. Yes, prepare to attack Babylon, all you surrounding nations, including the NATO nations. They're going to attack Babylon. Let your archers shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she has sinned against Yahweh. Read a few more verses and I'll close it. Shout war cries against her from every side. She surrenders. Her walls have fallen. It is Yahweh's vengeance. So take vengeance on her. Do to her as she has done to others. 16th verse. Take from Babylon all those who plant crops. Send all the harvesters away because of, now the scriptures speak about the nation fleeing in Isaiah 13 because of the sword of the enemy. See, the rumor is out that Russia's going to attack the U.S. Anyone will run away, or everyone will run away. That's Isaiah 13, and rush back to their own lands. Hope for the Most High's people. Hope for us. Who are the people of the Most High? The Israelites. The Israelites are like sheep that have been scattered by lions. First, the king of Assyria ate them up. Then King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon cracked their bones. So these other nations, they're going to be here too to go into slavery. That's in Daniel 7, starting from the 9th verse on down. I read up until 20th verse. Therefore, this is what the Lord Yahweh of heaven's armies and missiles and the angels, the Most High Israel says, now I will punish the king of Babylon and his land just as I punished the king of Assyria. And I will bring Israel home again to its own land to feed in the fields of Carmel and Bashan, and to be satisfied once more in the hill country of Ephraim and Gilead. That's the kingdom. So the kingdom is not going to be up in heaven. The kingdom for Israel is going to be on the earth. In those days, say, this is the last verse. In those days, says Yahweh, no sin will be found in Israel. That's the what? When we are changed. That's the new covenant. People are saying, well, the new covenant is here. Well, wait a minute. There's Israelites out there sinning. And so when the new covenant is fully established, not one Israelite shall sin, because the laws will be programmed in their brain, written on their hearts, written on the inside. No sin will be found. That's the kingdom. The 20th verse is talking about the kingdom. So Jeremiah saw the kingdom. No sin will be found in Israel or the Israelites or in Judah, Yahweh, Yasha'Allah, or Yahweh, for I will forgive the remnant I preserve. And then the rest that didn't make it, they're going to come back to us. The Lord's, or Yahweh's judgment on Babylon. Anyway, with that, I'm going to close, and most high willing, I will come back and finish this off. So we at the 21st verse of Jeremiah chapter 50 from the NLT. Shalom.